train individuals from start to finish on how to transition into virtual solar. We provide them with everything they need from A to Z.
Let's go. The SolarPulse Podcast just got better with the Better Energy Podcast. We're doing a collab here with Adam D'arcy and Garett Mendelsohn. What's going on, boys?
Not much, man. Love that energy, Joe.
Well, you got to bring it when you guys got a podcast called The Better Energy. You got to do even better than that. Go with the best energy, right?
Let's go.
What's going on? You guys know Josh King, of course.
Josh, I don't know if we've ever met, man. So, Josh, Adam, very nice to meet you.
What's going on, Adam? What's going on? Garett, your beard, man, is getting wild.
You chop it and it grows back in like a month, you know?
Yeah.
He has like the woodsman look, right? Like he needs an axe. Like he just just chopping wood.
I should be just chopping wood, right? Running through forests.
Well, you're doing that metaphorically with solar, right? Just virtually?
Yeah, virtually.
Chopping wood. So I wanted to kind of get into it. I know you guys both do the Better Energy Podcast, but I know you guys do solar also. Garett, obviously, Solar Boot Camp. Adam, I don't know much about what you're doing, bro. I just see you on Facebook and shit, but kind of want to know more about what you're doing. But Garett, real quick, what's up with the Solar Boot Camp, man? I've been hearing about it. What is it? What should people know about it?
Yeah, I mean, we're trained individuals from start to finish on how to transition into virtual solar. We provide them with everything they need from A to Z. It's in a summary.
I know somebody who does that really well in the same room with us, Mr. Josh King.
We both have beards too, except he has glasses and I lost mine.
Bro, that's all it's about. The longer the beard, the more knowledgeable I get in virtual solar, right?
I know, right? Literally, the longer I'm outside the U.S., the longer it gets.
Adam, are you in virtual too, bro? Or are you just like a whole different field? I know you do door-to-door and hybrid. I heard you talking last time.
So I did real estate before I got into this. You know, I knew somebody maybe 5 years before I got into solar, mentioned, the type of money he was making, the hours he was doing. I think he limited himself to like 30 hours a week, but he was making, maybe like $500,000 or something like that. So that was like the first I heard of it. And then I was like selling a house in Philadelphia and it was like wintertime and it was a really nice house, but long story short, had an awful client. I'm like, man, it's about to be winter. Real estate's slow. I'm like, I know I'm really good at sales. Like, what can I do? So I started working for this company called Solar Energy World out in New Jersey. So I'm right outside Philly. New Jersey is basically right outside Philly also. So I started working with a really good company. Their headquarters was in Maryland. They had a branch in New Jersey. Just started doing Pennsylvania when Pennsylvania got hot. And for me, man, what was really cool was like, I had a base salary, I had an inside sales team, and then I also had commissions as well. So, we had like a month of training. My VP of sales, had his master's from Harvard, been in solar for 10 years. So I really learned a lot. And they started letting me do in-home appointments right before Christmas. I think one of them was Christmas Eve. And I didn't get any sales like the first like 5 or 6 swings at bat. And then my VP of sales, who had a lot of knowledge, but also was kind of like a bipolar dickhead, some bosses, he was like, you need to do this, this, or that, or you're going to be fired. So that month I had a bunch of booked appointments. I closed 15 deals. The next month did 16 deals. Next month did 16 deals. They were all in person. I remember one day towards the end of that, it was a Saturday. I had like 3 in-home appointments an hour away from each other. Closed all of them. But I remember going home and being like, man, like I really need a break. And we only had to go into our office once a week because we had booked appointments. And we're in our office that Wednesday. And they're like, guys, you got to go home. We don't know what's going on. And it was COVID because I had just started November 2019. Now it's like about to be March or whatever. So then it went to the phones for about a month or two. Did about half the sales the next month. And I'm a big boy. And all my boys are like, you're just 6'4", going in there bullying that. And so I still had the most sales when it was on the phone. But then it started transitioning into Zoom. Zoom got super, super popular. So I ended up doing like 113 deals my first year. But what I noticed is that second 9 months, even though we had less appointments, my closing ratio was outstanding. The whole entire year was in between 50 and 75%. So then I was like, damn, if I don't have to drive and I can figure out how to get appointments somehow. And I talked to some guy and he kind of told me like, hey, how many deals did you get? What are you getting paid? Kind of what you can actually make in solar. I basically got into like buying leads, started doing that whole entire thing. But where I really took off, man, because it's a lot, like trying to find the appointment, pay for the appointment, set the appointment, close the appointment. It's a lot to do. So where I really found myself taking off was doing mentor deals, helping people who are new, who had the connections to be able to, set up that initial appointment. And then you come in as the person who knows how to do it. So then, with the company that me and Garrett met at, I mean, I think I did like 70 deals in 6 months and just really started taking off doing mentor deals and everything like that. But like, fast forward, I'm, almost in residential solar for 4.5, 5 years. So where I'm going to is like, I want to sell virtually all over the world, but first get into commercial solar across the nation, then get into like utility scale and everything like that. So I see solar being a big career for me, but my big thing, man, was I've closed like 300 deals on Zoom. So, however, I know you guys do a lot on the phone. I know Garrett.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you should say the C word around these guys.
The last 6 months, man, like, I will tell you, there's something about doing it over the phone. I think that there's positives in both, negatives in both. But yeah, man, just selling tons of residential solar, basically virtually. And then like, I'm going to be I am tapping into commercial and utility scale. And utility scale is where you have the land and connect it to the substation and get that contract with the utility company for 25 years.
Like this is a good debate topic, bringing it up Zoom, versus phone. Like I didn't think, phone would be the way. Like why not use technology like you have to your disposal, and it's going to make it easier to get people on the phone, but the numbers don't lie, right? Like just the numbers show that, keeping it simple, keeping it over the phone may lead to a higher closing percentage. What do you guys think? I don't want to, let's talk about it. Obviously, Adam has his opinion about Zoom. Garrett, do you want to talk about why you think the phones is the best way to go? What do you think?
I mean, it's easier.
I can't hear you, or my volume off here.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you could just like maybe be a little closer to your mic.
Oh, hello. Okay. Well, I feel like for me, it's like a lot of homeowners sometimes have issues getting on Zoom, and then it makes them download it, and then there's just like an extra step, and then it just can cause friction, and and they don't even want to be on camera. So phones are just simpler in that fashion for sure.
It's funny because I have a friend that would do Zoom, and he's like a stud, like works out all the time, loves Jesus. Shout out Keenan. He was on our podcast. He's the man, but I always thought it was interesting because when he was doing his Zoom, he would just like put a screen picture of him, and he's like, I want them to focus on, not looking at me or whatever, just like hearing what I'm saying. And I used to think he was crazy, but like there really is extra steps with getting on Zoom. Some people might feel a little weird or whatever, but I do like Zoom a lot. However, I think there might be I think it might just be a little bit easier, make it a little bit less of a complicated deal by doing it on the phone. So I think the phone's great. I think Zoom's great too. So I'm like indifferent, to be straight up with you. I wouldn't care if it was a phone call or a Zoom call.
Josh, do you think that there is that certain homeowner who's just better to have a Zoom, or is just everybody across the board keep a phone, or is more of a scaling thing?
I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that would close better over Zoom, but it's just few and far between. The number one issue right now, and it's always been with virtual sales, is show rates. So that's where you're going to minimize the friction. And then a big issue for guys moving into virtual is overcomplicating it. And the reason I don't like new guys doing virtual or Zoom video conferencing is because if they're new, they don't know how to simplify the process. But if you're doing video conferencing, you have to show more data. So phones forces you to be simple. If you're a lot more experienced and you have the self-control to really make the process simple, and the show rate is not affected by adding video conferencing, which I don't see how that would happen. But then, if you can close, you can close. But I would always say new guys, jump on phones the first time around.
Is there an advanced setting then? Like, all right, you're not new anymore, right? Go ahead, Adam.
This kind of came to me. If somebody has sold hundreds of deals, do you think that would you rather have them go on a Zoom call or in the person's house?
Like the volume doesn't matter, because you could do 100 deals or 200 deals, 300 deals, but your metrics are shit, right? So what I would do is I would look at your metrics, performance metrics, show rates, booking rates, close rates, your schedules, cancels. If there's no issue, then I'll be the first to say, dude, just keep doing what you're doing, right? I don't want to fuck something up that's working. But if there's issues, and if those issues point to something that video conferencing is possibly affecting, then yeah, I'm going to be, let's take a look and see if video conferencing is the right process there. It really just depends.
Yeah. I mean, what I like about it is you could sell in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and California the same day, and you're not driving like hours in between wherever that person is. So if you have like a stud closer, you have all these opportunities, you know what I mean? Like, would you want him wasting time driving? So I think there's definitely something, whether it's on a Zoom call or a phone call, there's something to that. If you can sell, then like, why would you be able to sell way more virtually doing it, whether that's the owner's room?
I mean, virtual is the way. I'm not.
Yeah. No, for sure.
No way we're doing. This is a virtual solar sales podcast.
Yeah, you guys both have businesses. Virtual's not good. I love it.
We should to the choir here.
Yeah.
No, phones are virtual, but yeah, I mean, regardless of whether you're doing video conferencing or phones, it all boils down to what the numbers are. Not whether it's me or someone else who has been a big part of the remote solar sales, virtual solar sales wave that has a certain process. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's the numbers. So if the metrics are good, then you use that strategy. It's whatever works.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, at the end of the day, it's lifestyle. Like your lifestyle is just different when you work virtually. Your life is different. Your family time is different. Your things you can do, where you can go is different. Like Garrett, I know you were a big door-to-door guy, a big door-to-door head. Like he was going door-to-door so much, he actually knocked on my aunt's door on the East Coast. Like that's tells you guys are knocking on a lot of doors. So this guy went from door to door. Now going virtual. How has your life changed? I'm sure it wasn't too dramatic, but like, has anything changed? Like, are you living? I know you were in different states. You were in Puerto Rico, I believe. Like, what kind of things changed your lifestyle when you went virtual?
I mean, yeah. I live in Puerto Rico on the east side of the island, which is nice. So I don't have to I don't have to live in the neighborhood that I sell in, and then it's just nice. I don't have to be outside every single day, forcing myself on the doors and dealing with the heat and the cold and just one by one. It's almost crazy to think I did it for that long. Like, it's actually like fascinating. So, I mean, most people on the doors, like they just don't the biggest thing is they just don't know how to get leads. That's like one of the bigger things. They don't know what the steps are to get off the door, but once you do, it just, it's changes your life. Like, it saves your life, because the doors, they suck, to be honest, So
Puerto Rico though, huh? Puerto Rico, let's go. Why Puerto Rico, bro? What are you doing on the east side of the island?
I mean, for number one, the taxes, because if you're American, I mean, Josh, you're lucky, so you don't have to pay taxes where you go. But if as an American, you can live in other places, but if you do live in other places, you still pay taxes to the government. But this is the only place that you don't pay any taxes except for 4% income. So you don't pay stocks or crypto or capital gains or anything like that. It's just 4% income. So that's the main reason. Then also it's super nice and it's safe and clean, and yeah, it's awesome.
Are you gonna hop around? Or are you gonna stick around in Puerto Rico for long term?
Yeah, I mean, I got two cats, so I can't leave them for long. So I'm pretty much stuck in one place.
We wanted to do like half the year there, half the year in Dubai.
It's just so hard. I just can't figure out what to do with the cats. They have to go with me. So.
They got 18 lives combined, bro. You're good.
I know.
Have you worked in a Eastern time zone remotely before?
Yeah. I mean, I lived in East Virginia.
No. Adam said Dubai. So
he was saying I wanted to live in Dubai.
Yeah. It's difficult, man. If you have training sessions and you have calls in the Western time zones, it's
time zones. Difficult. That's the biggest deal with virtual, right? Like,
yeah, I don't even know what Dubai's time zone difference is. It's like what, 12 hours?
Close to 12 hours.
That would be easier. It's probably less than 12 hours, but it's awkward. It's the only reason I'm in the West. I would be back in Australia and Southeast Asia or Africa if time zones weren't a thing.
Where are you, Josh?
Currently in Canada, but I'm in Nicaragua next week. I'm doing my last two countries in Central America, Nicaragua, and then El Salvador.
That's awesome.
I did all the continents, and now I'm doing countries.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, you're so lucky. You don't have to pay taxes. So lucky.
I mean, not as much taxes. The 10% thing you're talking about, right? That follows you along.
Yeah, some minimum, like big minimum, and then the capital gains for stocks and everything. But yeah, I don't know how it works. Maybe you pay something similar, but yeah.
I mean, you can still travel. You have to be in Puerto Rico for 6 months of the year, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, visas, you only generally get a visa. I don't know about Americans. I think it's the same for Canadians, like 3 months for a country. So you can still do Puerto Rico for 6 months in one day and then go to, other places for a few months.
Yeah, maybe actually that'd be cool next year.
You just got to figure out the cat situation.
That's the biggest thing is literally the cat. They have to go with me. I can't leave them.
Did they come with you from the U.S.?
Yeah, I brought them here. I bring them everywhere.
Okay. Continue that trend for vacation.
Yeah, so they've been all over.
Garrett's the one on the podcast was saying like, anybody outside of the country shouldn't be selling solar to U.S. citizens.
It's a real question, though.
Tell me what you're saying. Okay.
Let me clarify the question. The question was, should non-U.S. citizens should they be able to sell solar to U.S. citizens if they're not citizens because there's like no legal ramifications for them because they're not part of this country? Because I don't know how real estate laws work, but I can imagine you got to live in the U.S. to sell real estate. So like, should Americans be able, or non-Americans outside the U.S. sell solar into the U.S. and lock people into contracts? I was just asking the question. I'm not saying,
That's a good question.
It's just a question.
No ramifications?
You were deeper rooted into it. You were like worried if someone was going to be like totally just like screwing over the homeowners and stuff like that. Like that was like your bigger thing, and like having requirements on, what happens if somebody does do this or that, and then do you get a license revoked or something like that, and then it led into that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a question. I mean, I wonder it even now because you could have somebody that lives in, just say, Ireland sell solar to somebody in Texas, lock them in for 25 years. But what if they scam them? How does that Ireland person pay any like consequence to like screwing a homeowner?
Well, why would the sales rep be held accountable? It's the company that the sales rep works for. If they don't QC that job and then they say, "Yep, Marty McFlanagan," I don't know if that's an Irish name or not.
Oh, that's good.
He sold this job and we quality checked it. We did a welcome call with the customer and everything looks super squeaky clean. We're now going to install this and ask financing company for a settlement. And it turns out Mr. McFlanagan completely screwed over the customer. That is 100% in my opinion, the company's fault for not catching that. Right?
You shouldn't trust any sales rep. Like every sales rep should be not trusted at all.
Ever.
I mean, I think it's on both sides. Like, yeah, the install company should probably verify, but they also can't verify the conversation they had with the homeowner because they weren't there to listen to it, and they don't have the time to listen to all the calls. So it makes it almost not really practical. That's why, like, if there's like how do you prevent that? Because you could have a person sell a system at 100%, 50% offset, but say it's 100%, and then either not show them the proposal or manipulate the proposal by changing the usage. So, what consequence? How do you protect consumers in the U.S.? Because that's like a big thing right now, where I've seen from other people from other countries, and they don't really care. They just want to make money. I don't blame them either. Like they're trying
That's
to make.
another reason to do it virtually. Record the conversation. Now you got all the recordings. You're good to go. That makes it harder when you're over there, to their house. But virtual or record, over the phone, you can record that all day long.
Yeah,
Can you guys still hear me? Or my video is frozen?
Your video is frozen, but we heard you.
Okay.
So I mean, like what we're doing is that scenario would never fly with us, right? We were quality checking that offsets versus what was said, what was promised. The usage on the utility bill matches the usage reported in the system design software. So I don't think ever trust a sales rep. Enable the sales reps to sell, but at the end of the day, if they are screwing customers over.
But saying that, there is a lot of reps obviously doing those bad things. So what is the answer? Obviously quality control and checking it, but they're still going to have when you go through door to door, face to face, you don't record all these conversations. So how do you know, right?
Yeah, I think it doesn't even matter if they're from another country or whatever, because like I think what needs to be controlled is just like the topic at large. You know what I mean? But like I do hear you. It's like, okay, if we set up consequences for them, do these people not have consequences? Like either way, it just definitely should be controlled, because that's the other thing, man. It's like it's one thing to make money, but then to like have somebody for 25 years that's already with like title money to be screwed or whatever. And that's the thing. You can still make tons of money in solar and then still help people save tons of money in solar. And I feel like that's what makes somebody successful. Anyone just trying to like get like 3 big commissions and pay for their life for the year or whatever, it's just like.
No, that's what I'm trying to address. Like, we all do the right things, but like the problem obviously is most people in this industry. Welcome back, Josh.
There he goes.
Back. Sorry.
It's okay.
They took me out. The Irish took me out.
Again.
Found the rainbow. So I think there's just too many, like, in this industry, there's too many scammers, and that's what's ruining it. So
Yep,
we can do the right thing, but like straight up, there's so many scammers in this industry. It's so bad. Like literally like 18, 19, 21-year-old kids flying to cities, blitzing, get price gouging, 1 week installs, move to the next. Like, it's wild. So like I just feel like the companies can only check to a certain extent. I think it needs to fall on the rep, just like real estate agents have licensing. Some form of like identification purpose needs to happen to be able to sell a deal that's linked to you. So if you do scam, you're screwed.
So my only issue with sales rep specific licensing is it's been done before and it didn't work. So like in Australia, the way they did it, which was real annoying when it first came out, but I think it helped a lot, was they would attach federal incentives or state specific incentives to approved organizations. Installs had to be done by approved organizations. They had to be approved Clean Energy Council retailer. They have to pay a fee and go through audits of their processes and references. And all deals that were passed through them, they got access to additional incentives and rebates and federal programs. If they had a sketchy install or a number of sketchy installs, that would be revoked, so that their sales guys had to sell 20, 30, 40, 50% higher pricing than anyone else because they weren't approved and registered, right? Now, in the US, we're starting to see HICs, right? So California has our HIS licenses, home improvement contract license. When we launched Synevo in California, we set up a process where people would upload their details or license details, and then we would do a check. 90% of the licenses that were uploaded were not the same name or information as the user uploading them. So what I see is if you try to license the individual, they'll always find a way around that, use some other guy's license, whatever. Whereas if you put the money and the license on the organization, yeah, it does take a long time to audit all those jobs and make sure they're good, but that's way more pressure because then they get screwed over because their license or their access to some resources gets done. So they put a bunch of resources into quality checking all their jobs. So if you get a random guy that comes in, puts a sketchy deal through, they're far more incentivized to say, no, we're not going to fulfill that. And also you're fired. Right.
Yeah, I get that, but also like one thing about Australia, you didn't really have, maybe you did some, but you didn't really have Americans selling remotely to Australia. So it's just like Australians selling to Australians. So like the US is a different market where it's like half the world will sell here. And it probably would have people like using other people's license. Like I know people doing that for like Nevada, sharing a login for proposals because the W-2 law just to push a deal through. So I mean, I guess like the only way to stop this would be like good welcome calls, some sort of like rep regulation, and then a double checking with the installer, on their side as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to check. I mean, we have a 30-point quality checklist on jobs that are in before they actually get submitted for fulfillment. You catch a lot of stuff there. But in Australia, so it wasn't Australians selling to Australians. What are the two most notorious telemarketer countries? India and Philippines. Now, what's unique about Australia? It's the only Western first world market that is in the same time zones as India and the Philippines. So they were
Oh man,
destroyed.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's a good.
New Zealand, I guess, technically would be in that. But yeah, they were destroyed by call centers and solar, and still are to this day.
Yeah.
do you know what was really cool, Josh? When I first saw you, I saw like, I don't know if it was an ad or on Facebook, Instagram, but it was like a drone shot of like this really awesome house, like some tropical place and everything like that.
Solar Villa.
So are you guys doing more of that? Like, what do you guys have planned? Because that's just like really cool to me.
Yeah, the in-person events are awesome. We've wanted to do a lot, but like the industry's taken a hit and a bunch of people have left, so not a lot of people have disposable income to go to a cool place like that. Even though it's really really fun. So this year we're going to try to do something. But Solar Villa is the big one. We want to make it more big though, like not SolarCon level, but get like 50, 100 people there instead of a small amount of people. That's what we're working on. But yeah, we've been doing it every year. And then this year we'll see what happens this year, but we want to start doing little micro ones, solar stations, and little workshops around similar style boot camp styles as well.
That's awesome.
Is Solar Boot Camp going to run these boot camps?
And
there should definitely be some synergy, guys. I mean, there's really nobody else doing it, man. And I think, everyone has their own knowledge and what is it, like a rising tide raises all the ships?
Of course.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
It's good to have more than one person train on virtual solar sales. I've been waiting for better part of a decade for that to happen. So I welcome it.
Yeah. If you want to get into desalinization where, you convert ocean water to fresh water and they have the plants all over, the world, but it's still not enough to fix the problem. So it's like, okay, like, well, I could help also and get involved with that because that's where I want to go in the future. And it just so happens you use solar panels to, do the reverse osmosis. So
desalinization? Are you pitching me on working in desalinization? I don't.
I mean, that sounds good, but if you'd like to help me join, so there's countries that are going into year zero where they're running out of fresh water, man. And 3 billion people out of 8 billion people don't have clean drinking water. So, yeah, if you want to synergize with me, I would love that. That's my goal.
Remote
that's where I'm going with the industry.
Sales club.
You can go, what's it called? You can Google desalinate, and in the definition on Google, it says now possible to do it because of solar panels and the cheap energy that it offers.
That's cool. I like it.
Yeah, man.
Well, you make some content out of that too, Mr. B style. You know what I mean?
I just think it's like a way to actually like make a change and do something that's like important. You know what I mean? So
you gotta inspire others. That's what you gotta do the content for. Get other people doing it too.
Yeah, exactly. So I definitely want to do that. You know, they have, what is it, like Give Power Foundation. You know, a lot of the solar companies are doing it. They have this really cool thing. It's like a shipping container that they send out. And they have solar panels on top of it. They have the whole reverse osmosis, and they're literally, people are donating from solar to then provide these different, you know, villages and whatever. I think it does like 175,000 gallons a day, or excuse me, liters a day. But there's some desalination plants that do like millions of gallons a day. It's pretty impressive, but there's a long way to go. So it doesn't matter that they're there. It's great to have more people trying to make an impact with it. So Josh, yes, I would love the help.
Nice. Desalinization. I like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right, so let's take a 90-degree turn. And actually, I wanted to go back to what we were talking about with a rep in the house. Like, I'm just thinking in my head, how can a rep get away with screwing over a homeowner? Like, that should be the question. How can a rep get away with it?
It's a good question.
You know?
I did it once by accident. I read the temperature as the daily kilowatt hour usage instead of their kilowatt hour usage, and I sold them a system because I was like so pumped that I wasn't like focused on what they were paying. I just did the calculations. I'm like, you're in Massachusetts paying 35 cents. You know, this 20 cents one is really good, but it was like double the usage because I just like misread it. We corrected it, but I mean, that could have screwed them over, something that simple. But a way to do that is like what Gary was saying. It's like, hey, you really want to get this sale? Someone said it would be $300. You know, you bring that down to 70% offset, make it $260, and then they still have another bill coming in, and they don't care because they got the sale. But now this person has two different bills where they would have been better off just someone sized it out right and maybe got $100 off. But now they think they get 140 off, but you know, now they're still going to have like 35% of the bill.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty
offset shaving, right? Like that's a big way you can cheat the homeowner. But isn't that easily QC'd? Is that easily just checked with the homeowner or not?
Or even like shading and stuff. I feel like things just slip through the cracks. You know what I mean? Using like solar or something, they don't calculate the shading correctly for whatever reason.
Like, it's also gotten a little bit better in the last, like, I think year, with more like checks and balances. But like 2-3 years ago,
I can see that.
It was pretty like, it was stupid. And then on top of that, the finance companies approved anyone pretty much. If you made like $5,000 a year, you would be approved by Goodleap. And then, you know, they were straight up approving literally. Yeah, and then the 0% APRs and the 199 and all that fun stuff.
Well, I guess I could ask you guys a question too. So, like, you know, obviously it's not just solar. It's like, you know, a lot of industries are having tough times. A lot of people are having tough times with like money and stuff like that. What do you think you guys are doing that's like having you like overcome some of the hurdles with like the higher interest rates, or like recruiting, or having people still energized about doing solar? And then I'll ask my next question after that.
Who's it directed to?
I mean, either one of you guys. I mean, like, you know, like what, I mean, obviously, you know, sales aren't as good as they were. You know, do you guys see the light at the end of the tunnel? Because I sure do, with like Mercedes and Ford being all electric by 2030, and, you know, just the movement of it. And, you know, you're not supposed to really pay attention. Is it winter? Is it summer? Is a Democrat? Is a Republican? It's like none of that stuff really matters. There's still people that you can save money, put solar on. It's like, I'm just curious, like, you know, what you guys are doing to maybe overcome some of those challenges that a lot of industries are facing.
It's not really an issue for someone like myself who's been in this for so long, because I've just been through so many of these. So I know that this just starts the boom. But if you're brand new and you're looking at what's happening, and maybe you've only been in it for a year and a half, 2 years, and a year and a half, 2 years ago, you could get anyone approved, and now you're getting finance declines and stuff, then I can definitely see that, you know, there'd be some pain. What I would do, and what I try to do a lot of, is show people the numbers that indicate the industry is about to boom. The one thing that I like to look at the most and show people the most is the problem that solar is solving is never been greater, and it's about to get a lot worse. So, for example, in the last 12 months, more utility rate increase requests have been submitted by utility companies across the U.S. than any time in human history. more than the 1980 stock market crash, more than the 2008 global financial crisis, double, I think, than both of those events, which means that rates are just going to get absolutely unheard of. A year or two ago, it was 1 in 5 American households can't afford their energy. Now it's got to be 1 in 4. And I think that's not going to get any better. Utility rates don't go down, they go up. And then on top of that, Fed interest rates are looking like they're about to decrease. Finance providers are putting their rates down. Sunlight's put their rates down 2 or 3 times this year. And others are launching lease products to counteract high dealer fees. So the numbers don't say, the numbers in terms of industry don't say a downswing for much longer. The one thing that it might tack on a bit longer is that 2024 is the first year for a decade or a decade and a half where the average credit score actually got reduced. So finance declines, more credit card debt now than I think ever in human history. Finance decline, I think will continue to be an issue, but creative financing and lease products might be the solution for that. But everything points to an absolute boom. That's, like all the numbers say the problem is getting so absolutely ridiculous. And that problem happens to be the problem that solar solves. So, it's difficult not to.
If you were a psychic, would you say 6 months, 12 months, year and a half, 2 years? What would you think?
I thought we were going to have the U.S. because the U.S. market is still just got 5% market penetration, right? So young. I was saying that we were going to have the boom about a year and a half ago. But one thing I didn't factor in there was the
COVID?
Yeah, well, COVID had already happened. It was more so the effect 2 or 3 years after COVID.
Yeah,
I didn't see that. I'm not an economist. But what I do know is what a solar market looks like right before the boom, and it looked like that 2021, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So I was saying that a year and a half ago. How long will we get through out of this? 2025, I think we're going to start seeing oh shit, okay, this is getting back to normal. I think Q1 or Q2 of 2025 is going to be oh, here we go, it's coming back.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
Garett's always I'm so excited for next year. I was just ground yourself.
Well, that's what I tell people. It's
Garett's talking about 2026.
Yeah,
2026 is going to be killer. But the light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of people, I've seen the light for a long time. But if you're new to this and you literally don't have an experience of what it feels like to go up and down, you're probably going to start seeing the light in Q1, Q2 of 2025. But I tell people it's you don't want to hear there's a gold rush and then go and get your pickaxe and then travel to Alaska. You want to be in Alaska with your pickaxe and knowing how to use it when the gold rush starts, right?
Yeah.
You can't say, well, I'm going to take it seriously in Q1, Q2 of 2025 because it's going to take you another 6 months, 12 months to actually get in the swing of things, and you're going to miss a full year of just absolute, mining for gold. So prepare.
Yeah.
You got to prepare.
So side question, and it's all speculative, whatever that word is. So I don't know if you saw in the news a few days ago, all the Social Security numbers got hacked in the U.S. All of them. How do you feel like that's going to change the financing options as that develops, more in the future?
Listen, Garett, this is our podcast. We ask the questions around here, okay?
It's a good question. Well, for those that know credit reports and Social Security numbers, you can get someone's Social Security number. It's not difficult. So, do you mean do you think people are just gonna go on the black market and randomly run financing, or?
If everyone's social like ours right here was just hacked on a list at some
Garett
point,
has an idea. You can see that light bulb in his head. He's like.
People could sell socials and do stuff and all the crazy stuff.
So I was doing right before this. I was on the beach, not watching the news about monkeypox or everyone's social being hacked. So, as far as I know, my social was good until this conversation.
If you get on Twitter or X, you're going to see a lot of things you didn't really expect to see.
Yeah.
Like that social platform. I don't know if you guys know, has more views than Facebook and Instagram now. and it's growing fast. Elon Musk platform X, and you see a lot of the stuff that's coming or has came, and it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think regulations will certainly tighten up in terms of stuff, but like financing is financing. It's been the same forever. Solar financing is different in some respects, but in terms of like what information and what the workflows are, and like two-factor authentication is standard across industries. But in terms of the Social Security number, like you could have asked me 3 months ago, 4 months ago, and I probably could have grabbed your Social Security number, Garrett. It's not that difficult. It's actually it's possible to grab Social Security numbers. What happened was these hackers hacked a big database that just so happened to contain a bunch of stuff.
Don't fuck with Josh, guys.
$1,000 if you can pull my social.
It's not for everybody, but there's some tools out there with just your birthday and name,
10,000
publicly available tools, pretty much, and you can pull socials. It's not difficult.
I don't think you can pull socials. That's the one thing you can never pull.
It's about 60.
That's pretty hard to
60,
do.
70% of people.
Josh seems pretty confident.
I can pull socials. Yes.
Okay, if you could pull my social, I'll give you $1,000, $10,000.
Oh, here we go. We got a live challenge.
I don't.
Nice. Garrett's social is.
We'll let you know when this is broadcasted if we have the answer.
My social's out there saying that's. I mean, just that's crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, if the question is in terms of regulation, I mean, we're going to start seeing more regulation for sure. Like finance companies were under crazy scrutiny the past year or two for high dealer fees, right?
Yeah. No, Adam did bring up monkeypox. We might as well address that one too.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts of monkeypox?
Bro, it's another reason why to be virtual, right? Like anything happens, you're safe on the phone, like no matter what.
Like literally, I mean, unless you can go through the phone. But like, have you guys heard of what's kind of like going on?
Bring Solar Boot Camp down and start marketing the Garrett and be like, "Did you hear? You can monkeypox through the phone." Hey, I'm just kidding.
Look, you go on Twitter and you just see like monkeypox case in this country, public global health emergency. I'm like, this kind of reminds me of like when COVID first started. So
yeah, but it's a skin-to-skin contact one, I think. So I don't think you need.
They said it's airborne now.
What? All right, now I'm worried. My wife keeps talking about it. It's airborne now?
I don't know. I think I swear I saw something.
Bro, are you spreading rumors on the podcast right now?
I mean, if me and Garrett are sort of incentivized to make people afraid of a crazy virus to all move to virtual. So
did you know?
Go
monkeypox.
Yeah, it's going crazy.
Hide your cousins, hide your aunts, hide your
knocking doors. It's gonna go absolutely.
Just $100,000 will save your life.
Watch out! There's a monkeypox run.
2020 was the best year ever for us in solar.
Yeah, I had a great year.
But honestly, though, this is a good question. Don't you think now that we learned from COVID and now monkeypox that people should be prepared for that? Because I wasn't when it came down to when I had to sell virtual. So if you're in sales, shouldn't you want to learn virtual just to have in your back pocket?
Yeah, everyone sign up with the 2 links below and don't get monkeypox.
Choose one or the other, and you'll learn a lot.
I think the motivation of not being able to live a location-independent lifestyle is far more motivating to me than just getting sick. Like,
yeah.
I mean, if someone
it's not getting sick if the world goes down.
I know,
at least you can still sell.
It's an easy market, like, oh, you don't get sick, you learn virtual. But for me, it's like from day one, it's always been, I do not want to stay in one place. I want to travel the world, and that's number one by far for me. So
say you have somebody like that. Say somebody, has been in solar for 3 years, has, started selling a lot of deals, really knows what they're doing. And they're like, man, I want to travel the world. And he comes and asks you, how do I do that? What would you recommend that he does as far as like getting appointments, setting those up? I don't know. What would you say to somebody that's been in person for a company that's now made some money and they want to go travel the world and sell solar virtually? How would that person do that if they were under your wing?
So the first thing I would ask is, what have you done before? Were you getting appointments before? Probably the number one.
So what you could say is like that person had an inside sales team and was selling 70 deals a year. consistently the last 3 years and has some money in his pocket.
So they've never done appointment setting before?
They never did appointment setting before.
That's going to be the most difficult thing by far. They've never done appointment setting.
Let's say that they did do appointment setting the first 6 months and was really good at it.
Okay, so they've done door knocking or something.
Yep.
Right. So the next question would be, do you want to throw a bunch of cash at this right away and get results, or do you want to, take it easy and
I want to make this like a full-time thing, and I have money. Well, how much money are we looking to put? Where would we be putting it?
This is what I would say. If you're serious, jump on cold leads or age leads for at least 2-3 weeks and get your teeth kicked in. And then after that, after you've experienced virtual remote phones and communicating over the phone, then come to me and we can take a look at inbound leads, appointments, live transfers, and put some cash on the table. But you got to learn the phones first. Or Zoom, whatever. You got to learn the virtual communication skills. You got to get your teeth kicked in on hang-ups and people telling you to fuck off on the phone, what that feels like. Do some full presentations beginning to end on the phone or Zoom or whatever you want to do. Then after you've got that, maybe you've got a few appointments, a few sits, you might even close a deal or two. Then you have cash. Okay, let's put the cash into the machine and get you some appointments or leads, and you can start talking to people that actually want to speak to you and get results going. That's there's a million different avenues there, but very high level.
You would say basically put your money into lead generation where other people are taking the calls and appointments and setting it for you and paying for that, and then just having set appointments for you.
I'm not a fan of, unless you're running a big team, if you're an independent and you're one person, I think you should always set your own appointments. Or at least when you get an appointment that someone else has set for you, redo the appointment setting call and rebook it in for a closing call. But I'm just not a fan of taking an appointment someone else has set for me, trusting that they've done that properly, and then trying to close them right there and then.
Would you be, putting your money into lead generation specifically like on Facebook? Or are you looking at other places like Google and things like that? Because I know a lot of people that we talk to, like, for example, is it Josiah? Is that how you say his name, Garrett? Mm-hmm. He did like 70 million in like ads and stuff like that. And he was saying majority is Facebook and Instagram.
So omni-channel, I really like Meta is always Facebook, Instagram will always be okay. But I really like TikTok right now. I really like video content creation based traffic, organic and paid lead gen. But omni-channel, so retargeting on different platforms, email, SMS, AI bots, different platforms, and just monitoring results. Keeping track of what's called S1, S2, S3 values, campaign, ad sets, and ads. Monitoring where those results come from. So for example, in our platform, I can see every single possible metric of each platform, each campaign, each ad set, each demographic, and then make your decisions based off of that and put more budget into certain areas. But if you're brand new and you only have a certain amount and you need to keep it simple, I really like TikTok, video content on TikTok right now.
That's what I was asking because, I have a pretty decent Instagram. And I kind of started TikTok. I got a drone and everything like that. Are you seeing people like just post on that? And like, let's say I have my drone, I'm showing like an install and stuff like that. Or if I have that, then do like a paid post. Or is there something else that you would be doing on TikTok?
So if it's talking about organic, I'm telling everybody to go crazy on organic content right now. I'm really trying to do it as well. So I have a TikTok. Everyone can follow me. Josh.energy.guy. It's customer facing, homeowner facing. Me and a few guys at VSC are trying to take it as serious as possible. I've got a few videos that have popped off. And when I say popped off, I mean like solar energy pop off, like 5,000, 10,000 views, 15,000 views, which is great. My last one got 2,500 views. Whoopee. Make customer facing content. Do that for 6 months. Don't expect a single lead. But in terms of paid, no, you're not making organic content and then boosting it in the app. You can make organic content to see how it performs on TikTok, but you need to make call to action centered content and run it on the TikTok advertising platform, not just boost it with like the in-app stuff. Yeah, you got to do.
Nice. Yeah. I know TikTok was huge too. Like the statistic, I don't know if it was a year or two ago, but it was like outperforming all the platforms. Facebook, it was saying it was even getting more like Google searches or whatever. So it's cool to hear that you're utilizing that
The
platform?
reason why TikTok is doing really well or has done really well, a lot of platforms that are starting to catch up with it is because
This is the Chinese.
what's that?
The Chinese.
Yeah, it's the Chinese.
They have
That
good
is
It's
wild.
the
algorithms,
algorithms, right? So
Yeah.
the algorithms are getting so good that they're able to now analyze video and determine what's in a video within like 10 seconds. Now, what that
Yeah.
does is it enables you to just be purely creative based, video content based. So your hashtags don't need to be perfect. Even your digital marketing doesn't have to be that good. If you just make a kick-ass creative, you can get decent results. So that's what's exciting about TikTok, because it's all video. It's fucking all video, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I like it. Because I'm good on
No.
camera, so I can make cool ads, you know?
Yeah. And then how did you get over that, man? Like, how did you, like, when did you, at first, were you uncomfortable at all? Because I find myself just being able to talk to anybody when I'm talking to somebody. Second, I'm by myself and I turn the camera on myself, I just lose. I'm not trying to, like, say, like, it's going to happen every time or whatever, but there's no way I sound how I sound when I'm talking to you guys when I'm, like, just trying to do it by myself.
This is a normal thing.
Well, you're a natural interviewer. I'll tell you that. You ask a lot of
For sure.
questions.
But the reason that's happening is because it's in a different environment. Even though you're doing the exact same thing, you're doing it in a different place. And, when I started talking about organic content creation, this was like the number one thing that I saw was going to be the challenge for everybody, especially older guys that aren't, that didn't live, you're older than 20 years old. And so just being on camera when you grew up was a bit cringe. Whereas now the teenagers are on camera. They don't give a fuck. So they're all good on camera. But when we grew up, it was a bit cringe to be on camera. So now you're like, oh, this is a bit weird. You have to be able to overcome that, because that's just the world that we live in right now, right? Just setting the camera up.
So bad.
We do to get people over this. Like, not a lot of people take advantage of it, not enough. But every single Monday, we have an additional training session, 11 a.m. PST, for content creators. And we just all get together and say, let's make content. Here's the ideas. What should we do? But people have a lot of problems. It's difficult for them to get over it, man.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, it is for myself, and then also I see other people struggle with it. That's why I ask.
But for motivation, we just had a guy, Darren. He just got his first sale from organic content, I think 2 weeks ago. Rolston, yeah.
He was one of my students in boot camp.
There we go. So a few guys are really hitting it hard. I've had a few people DM me. I haven't converted anybody yet on mine, but like we've only been doing it for maybe 2-3 months seriously. And so organic content, I think, is going to be big. Just listen, Gary V, what does he say? Make content, post content.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I have a friend in real estate that, like, he started doing it and it for sure was cringe. But it's crazy to see over the last few months, he's like starting to pick up like all the different, like, I don't know, popular things, like someone throwing water on you, or like somebody gets hit by a horse and then you like fall or whatever. But it's crazy. In just a short amount of time, it went from cringe to like, holy shit, bro, you have millions of views. And it's really good what you're doing. So like I've seen it happen. So I think that's, it's just a matter of doing it and you'll evolve and adapt.
Because imagine if you had, so this is what I like to do. I snap my fingers and I'm like, what's the end goal here? The end goal is, let's say you're in solar and you have 100,000 homeowners that follow you because your content's entertaining and they get education from you. And you just have every single day someone messaging you saying, hey, I've been following you for 2 or 3 months, getting value. My bill just went up. I want to go solar. What would you suggest? Imagine that's the hottest lead you could ever do. You're just making fun content on TikTok and you're just getting these crazy hot leads that trust you already and say, yeah, whatever you say, I'll get. And then you're just closing them, even just bloody over text, That's the end goal.
Right. Yeah, it's badass. I'm going to take that tip and get my TikTok to the next level.
Garrett, you seem like a natural introvert. I don't know if that's real or not, but you seem to be pretty good in sales. And are you doing this organic social media? Are you getting on the front of the camera? Are you doing a lot of it? Or are you not introvert at all? I just made that up.
I mean, I don't know, like if you think what you think of the Myers-Briggs personality test.
Spectrum
thing, yeah. INTP. So yeah, introverted. But yeah, content's like the hardest thing for me. I never do it. I skip it every time. I can't do it. It's so hard.
You can do it, and you have a lot of.
There you go, Adam.
But like I feel you.
Yeah, it's just so hard to do anything. I'm just like painful. I could do it for 5 minutes max.
We've been doing this for 32 minutes. What are you talking about?
You took the words out of my mouth.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, but it's different. Like, you can look at yourself. So, like, maybe look at like most people with imaginary friends that you're talking to. I don't know.
Watch this. You're going to make some content right now, Garrett. Here we go. This is how easy it is.
let's
So
go.
tell us, Garett Mendelsohn, what do you think the virtual solar cells industry looks like in 5 years? And go.
I think everybody's going to be strapped into a virtual reality headset. I think taking it off will be illegal, and I think we're all going to live in the metaverse selling solar remotely
Nice.
in the future. No, I mean, I think like honestly, what's going to happen is it gets harder and harder on the doors. More and more, door-to-door guys are going to switch. I'm not going to say transition, but switch over, and it's just going to become just bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually it's going to just replace door-to-door altogether. Especially if monkeypox comes, it's gone. It's gone in 2-3 months. I was just kidding. That won't happen, right? So no, like it's
It won't. It won't, buddy.
Probably not.
no,
Hopefully.
it's gonna keep shrinking, and virtual is just gonna keep growing until it hits an inflection point, and then it'll be parabolic, whatever that thing will ignite it. Like, if people can't door knock, everybody's gonna try to switch this time. So yeah.
I see you wearing those goggles, those Apple Vision Pros. When is that going to be normal? People buying solar with those things?
Oh, I wish it was normal now. Like 5 or 10 years. Probably
Yeah?
10.
Similar. I think it's similar to how you could do Zoom, but then like people have been just so natural on the phone. I think maybe it'll be like a transition of some kind of video conferencing, and then more and more people, whether it's just like their glasses or whatever, start doing it where they don't have to wear this big thing. I think in the future it will happen, but same thing as with Zoom and phones. Definitely take some time.
Well, the one opportunity I know, I saw it the day I jumped into the metaverse. What was it, 2019 or 20? Whenever the Quest 2 came out, how at least in the Quest, you have these different apps and different worlds that you can just go and start randomly exploring, and then people make channels in these worlds and they create different stuff that you can go to. That's exposure. Like, people are going out there now. Years ago, when that came out, that was straight up kids, but older people are gonna jump on that own houses, own roofs, and that is exposure. So I think there's opportunity right now in the metaverse to set up cool places that people can go and explore and see solar panels and look at it, or go to conference rooms and sales trainings and sit in a chair in the metaverse. Someone on stage pitches them a product or trains them, or I think there's a ton of opportunity. I haven't seen.
I see a smile on Garrett's face on that one.
It's the future.
Yeah.
No, I mean, honestly though, like in the future, like it's going to be super sick with all the cool things you can do with it, and all like the community building elements with it, and all the other fun stuff. I can't wait. It's exciting. So
Well, you've been using the Apple Vision Pros now since they came out. It looks like you wear them everywhere in every event. Can you give us a little bit of a review real quick, man? How they working? Are they worth $3,500? Is it something everybody should be buying, or is it something that's better in a couple more years?
I mean, the movie experience is unreal. It's the only way I'll watch movies now. It's so good. It's like watching an IMAX in your house. You get some eye strain, at least for me, but I have astigmatism, so that's probably why. But maybe for people that don't have it, your eyes won't hurt. But it's good. I mean, sometimes too heavy. Got to train your neck. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's solid.
Love it.
All right.
I give it a 10 out of 10. There you go.
9 out of 10. This is his third episode with Adam. He was getting that eye strain. I think it's really cool. It's definitely like a unique feature, but it's also cool seeing him on whether it's StreamYard, Zoom, whatever this platform is, Riverside. It's definitely interesting.
I have a call in 1 minute.
So I guess why don't you? I guess where we can find each other would be good. I don't know if you guys have like ending questions at the end of the podcast or anything like that. Yeah, cheers again.
Man, tell us.
Yeah, so basically, Garrett, if you want to say where you can find you, and I'll say mine.
You can find me at solarbootcamp.ai, Instagram, that's the website. It's also the YouTube channel. We don't post much there, but solarbootcamp.ai, pretty much Instagram or
Yeah, and it's funny because I just changed my TikTok because at one point, so my Instagram's drc.solar for Adam D'arcy, and then it was drc.global, but I want to keep it solar for right now. And like I said, but I do want to have like a big global impact. And then also I started a YouTube channel. It's only like 4 episodes, but I want to do more of it. I went to like some really awesome installs in California where I like went to it, talked with the homeowner and stuff. So I believe it's either selling sunlight or selling _sunlight. But I have some pretty cool content there that I want to start pushing more out because it's pretty cool.
And also, don't forget, these guys have a podcast called the Better Energy Podcast. How can we find you on there?
Yeah, the Better Energy Podcast is our handle. Again, what else do we have? Do we have the YouTube channel up yet, or a website?
I think so. The BetterEnergyPodcast.com, and then I think you can find that on Instagram too, and then YouTube as well. We've done like 11 or 12 episodes, but we've released nothing.
This is like 14 or 15. Once you get to 20, you're like top 10%. So that's what we're shooting for. And we actually have it today, tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. It should be just Wednesday and Friday, but I think we're going to change it to 1 a week once we hit 20.
Yeah.
I know you have at least 1 on there. I saw that 1, at least on the website there.
Yeah, I think there's like 4 up there right now, but
I think we did like 14.
Yeah. something like that.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks very much for joining.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much, Josh. Joe, have a great rest of your day. Peace. Let's synergize. Desalinization.
You guys collaborate.
Yeah.
Peace.
Adios, guys.